The entire opus of Ayurveda centers on forming good habits and good routine. So let's talk about routine. Hi, my name is John Immel, and I'm the director of the Joyful Belly School of Ayurveda, and this is what I look like. We all know that we have to water the garden regularly, or the garden will dry out and the flowers won't bloom. We know that baby needs a nap at the same time each day. We know that we have to walk the dog at the same time each day, or the dog's bowels will be uncomfortable. But what's good for babies is good for you. Unfortunately, for many people, routine means a loss of independence and a loss of freedom. The idea of waking up at 6:45 a.m., making the bed at 7:03, getting a glass of water at 7:05, and reading the newspaper at 7:13 a.m. seems regimented and boring. The idea of a scripted life seems regimented and boring. But in Ayurveda, we say that poor routine is the first sign of poor management, and that it's order that makes it possible to thrive in the midst of adventure. That it's having a strong backbone and foundation that actually allows you to take adventures. And just think about a musician. That regular piano practice allows the musician to jam out spontaneously with other musicians. And if they didn't have that level of training and regularity, they wouldn't be able to have the same spontaneity. So routine is this skeleton and foundation and backbone that allows you to be creative, adventurous, and independent, and not the other way around. It doesn't prevent that freedom or creativity. And this is, and I think that people rebel against routine because they don't necessarily understand the difference between natural law and rules, right? Rules are only oppressive if they're unnatural. But if something is a natural law, if something is truth, then knowing it and following it actually helps you. That it actually increases your freedom and then improves your happiness as well. So, what is the natural law of routine? That's our question. And to get at natural law, we have to recognize a fundamental tension in our bodies. That our mind is somewhat immaterial, and so it has a lot of freedom, but our body is made up of material. The reason why the flower blooms when you water the garden regularly is because the garden is a material thing and it has material needs. Our body has material needs, and so there is a natural routine to provide those material needs to the body. Whereas our mind is free. I can think about something that isn't here, and I'm free to do that. And so the mind is free of those material constraints, and that's why people can sometimes overreach and imagine that they have more freedom than they actually do, and that can create problems. So in this presentation series, I'm going to identify what a good routine is, how to get on a good routine, what the routine is for each body type, the routine for each time of day, the routine while traveling. I'm going to talk about some causes of a poor routine and then some treatments, and then along the way, we'll discuss some case studies as well. And let's talk a little bit more about benefits of a routine. One, routine makes life easy. When you have a routine, you get experience with each task in your routine. So you can do those tasks quickly, automatically, and effortlessly. You kind of grow into the routine so that you can do things much more easily. That repetition provides insight, learning, so that you can optimize, right? Habits free up your mind. You don't have to make a decision each day about each task or wonder what you should be doing all the time. I just think about Henry Lawrence, who's now only 10 days old. He was born 10 days ago, my son. A great little kid, great little guy. I'm so happy to get to know him. And someday, he's going to learn how to walk. Maybe that'll be a year from now. Excuse me. Yeah, he'll be learning how to walk. And when he takes those first steps, he's going to be thinking about every single muscle in his body, every single muscle in his leg, and like how exactly he should be moving his feet. And he's going to be wholly engrossed in that task of learning how to walk. But for me, having been walking on this earth for many, many years, I walk effortlessly. I don't have to think about walking when I'm walking. I can think about something else when I'm walking. And so, actually, this habit and doing things over and over again creates makes it automatic, right? And this is what we want for our life: is that all those mundane activities throughout our daily day, like brushing our teeth, we can make them a habit, so we don't have to just think about it all the time, and that burns up a lot of our energy. So another thing that a good routine does is it helps you identify problems, and that's important for diagnosis. If you have this complicated life where everything's changing all the time, it's really difficult to figure out what's going wrong. So the idea behind a good, strong foundation is that you have a certain simplicity in your life, and you can figure out where problems are coming from. This is the idea behind elimination diets in Ayurveda as well. In an elimination diet, you just eat the same thing for a few days, and it creates so much simplicity that then when you start adding other foods back in, you can see which foods are causing the problem, right? So people who have complicated health problems should have a very simple routine, and then we can figure out causes. With a routine, you have good planning. You've charted a clear course. You can then test and optimize results. With a routine, you have stability. It's habit that turns a few good ideas into a lifestyle that persists. You may have the best ideas out there, but are you implementing them? Are you implementing them regularly? That's what's hard. Habit is the basis of stable health, and it's the basis of a stable character as well. So it's a basis for self-improvement instead of your life being this constantly moving target. What about physical benefits? Your body has natural biorhythms. And if you go against those biorhythms, you're going to feel off, right? Your body's not going to feel right. Your appetite's not going to be right. So your main biorhythms are when you feel sleepy and awake, when you feel energized and relaxed, when you feel hungry, when you eliminate your bowels. And for women, your menstrual cycle is a biorhythm. So if you are conforming to your biorhythms and establishing a regular routine, and your biorhythms aren't scrambled, you'll have a good appetite and get hungry on time. If you'll find it easier to fall asleep, and you'll have less insomnia. You'll find it easier to wake up as well. You'll be less groggy in the morning, and you'll have less stress because your life will have a certain amount of predictability, which is comforting because life always throws a few surprises as well. Henry, my son, decided to be born about 2 weeks later than what we had planned. And so that week, the kids were starting school. We had an Ayurveda class graduating, another class beginning. We had some changeover with staff and things like that. Natural, normal things, right? But because we have a solid Ayurveda routine, our life wasn't turned upside down when new baby came and when these other changes and things came as well. We had a level of resiliency in it. So when you have that lack of routine, you're going to be fighting your biorhythms and you're going to feel off kilter. Skipping meals disrupts biorhythms. And so your stomach acids may not be there to digest your food. And or your blood sugar level becomes imbalanced. Or you feel starved and then overeat and make poor choices about what to eat. Or you become constipated because you're not eating on time. When you're eating on time, you'll have regular movements of the bowels. Poor routine creates low energy, creates poor concentration. In general, you'll be more fragile because you're disorganized, and it'll be then you'll be less effective as a person in general. You know, if you have a poor routine, then when something goes wrong, you won't be able to absorb the shock, right? And the house of cards will come tumbling down. So routine is a pillar of a healthy, happy life. Not just in Ayurveda, but I think for all people. So routine in Ayurveda is very important. It's a pillar of our Ayurveda method and tool. And most things in Ayurveda depend on habit formation. Most good result in Ayurveda depends on habit formation. So this is a very important topic. And there's a whole word in Ayurveda for routine. It's called dinacharya. And din just means day. And acharya means lifestyle. So dinacharya means your daily lifestyle. And your daily lifestyle and your habits are your routine. Ayurveda says it's impossible to have health and maintain it without a good daily routine. And Ayurveda provides all these details in the ancient texts about routine, which you can find in Ashtanga Hridayam, chapter 2. Once you start to experience the benefits of routine, you'll start to love routine. You might be a rebel now. You might not want a routine. You might think it's too boring or stiff. Those are some complaints that people have about routine, but nothing could be further from the truth, right? That if you embrace routine, you'll be more competent, more successful, less stressed out, more resilient, healthier, happier, more adventurous, more creative. So we'll continue with discussing all these details in later videos.